Welcome in to the PHNX Suns pregame show brought to you by our friends at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I'm Lindsey Smith here with Saul Bookman, Espo, and Gerald Bourget. Gentlemen, you ready for some Friday night hoops?
Yay!
Breaking news. Gerald, do you have breaking news for us?
Yeah. Courtesy of Dwayne Rankin. Damn it. It's really not even that exciting. Cam Payne is a late scratch for tonight's game due to right knee soreness. So
we made that far more dramatic than it
you
really
did. You built
be.
me up. You didn't set me up for success on that one.
I mean, it's we're scratching the bottom of the barrel.
Yes.
What is it? What's
Yes.
the ism?
Look, we're
To
doing
be
a lot
fair,
of...
we scratched the bottom of the barrel at the very beginning of the season with us in tow.
Oh.
No.
Ouch.
No.
Don't point at me.
Yeah. Oh, we're in this together, buddy.
Oh, thanks. Thanks.
Oh.
Look, of course we're scraping the bottom of the barrel. There's 2 games left, and they don't matter, all right?
This is true. They do not matter.
But you should watch us still. I'm not saying don't watch us.
Tonight, the Phoenix Suns are facing off against the Utah Jazz, so it'll be a fun game. And we already updated you for the most part on the Suns side of injuries. So why don't we go ahead and just look at who's going to be playing in this game tonight? So on the Suns side, like Gerald said, last minute addition. This was literally moments before we went live.
Yeah.
Cam Payne is the only one who will be on the Suns side outside of Dario, of course. And then on the Jazz side, Udoka Azubuike.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I was
Gotcha.
struggling with that one. And then Trent Forrest. But no one of real notable stature.
I didn't realize that Udoka Azubuike played for the Utah Jazz.
Mhm. Yeah.
He must be happy that his Jayhawks won the national championship.
He probably was, yeah. But
that screen hurts. No Frank anymore.
I know.
oh, I know that hurt yesterday because normally the day before the game we get our game notes and we see who's out, and it's always been Dario and Frank that are still out. And I was going to tweet out, no one new on the injury report except the usuals, but it's just one usual now.
Yeah. that's
Shout
so
Frank.
sad.
You guys are
Sorry,
far
Pete.
more about that.
You went to
than I
U
am.
of A. Of course you're not sad that he's gone.
Yeah, you don't even like Frank because of the U of A thing. Yeah, I'm not even
Yeah.
fighting.
I mean, I did
on that
ask
one.
him about that.
Sniffling
I was like, what do you have to say to UFA fans? He was like,
Nothing.
sucks to be you. And I was like, yeah, I really don't like you anymore. And then we started our interview. So that was a great way to start.
That's
Hello,
fantastic. I mean, is he
my
wrong? It's not his
friend.
fault.
Yeah.
He holds no ill will, Saul. Just
I haven't
saying.
spoken to him since, so I don't care.
I'm not sure I can do this anymore, guys.
It's going to be okay, Espo. I promise. It'll be okay. Will a title make you feel better?
No.
No,
unless Frank,
not without
not
No.
unless Frank gets to
No.
be part of the parade.
Liar.
Okay. All right.
That's too dramatic. and you even know it.
I'm not that good of an actor. All right. I'm still sad, though.
So yeah, the Phoenix Suns and the Utah Jazz. How you guys feeling about this one? I wouldn't be surprised if the Suns lost this game. Obviously, Utah needs a win far more than the Suns do.
Yep.
And if there was one that they were going to drop in these last 2 games, it would be this one. They're going to play really hard on Sunday, of course, because it's the final home game of the season. So if they were going to drop a game, it'd be this one.
Ish Wainwright's going to play really hard on
Yeah.
Sunday because I don't think they're playing anybody.
They're not playing anybody except for McHale for like a minute.
I think this is kind of like their dress rehearsal for the playoffs. Like, campaign was obviously a late scratch, but other than that, everybody was good to go. So I think they are approaching this like a regular game. They won't, care as much if they lose, but I do think this is kind of their last opportunity because they have a full week off
Mhm.
from Sunday until they're probably game 1 on Sunday.
This is it. This is it. We just got the campaign news.
Mm.
And this is the only reason why I even want to watch this game.
Right.
Is Elf going to play more than Aaron? I swear it better not happen tonight. Monty better have learned his lesson because it was damn obvious that Aaron Holiday should be playing well ahead of Elfrid Payton. Not even close. Like Elfrid Payton is not even a dollar store version of Aaron Holiday. That's how awful
Elfrid
he
Payton
is.
better play because Frank Kaminsky was sacrificed for him.
We don't have to punish everybody involved for this.
Yes, we should.
No,
I was driving to work today and I saw a tank next to me and I got sad.
Oh, I did
and I'm
see
not
that.
lying. I literally saw a tank on the road.
That's
so.
tough, man. No, I think you bring up a good point is because after that game, Monty praised Aaron Holiday, his willingness to shoot, how he just went in there and made an immediate impact, said he was kicking himself for not playing him in the first half. He also said Elfrid Payton was solid at driving, not finishing, but driving. So I'm very curious to see how that kind of shakes out.
I just don't understand it. I just don't I appreciate the loyalty that Monty shows his guys. I do. I do. However, that loyalty can be so blinding that it just does not make sense and it almost makes you look foolish to a degree that you would be this wrong about a particular player and their role on the team. Like Aaron Holiday needs to play more. He just does.
Yeah. I just think there's more that is lying under the surface that we don't know about. That's my only, I don't know how else to describe it. Like I just feel like it's something with Aaron Holiday not picking up the plays or just, I don't know what it could
Elfrid
be.
Payton
but
doesn't pick up the plays.
It's something that we don't know about.
If Monty didn't have that loyalty, we wouldn't have campaign. Monty was loyal to campaign from his time in Oklahoma City with him. And that's why he brought him in. That's why he played him. That's why he believed in him.
But
it goes both ways with his loyalty.
I get that. But again, campaign left, went to China, and Monty wanted to give him one more shot. Had campaign come back and been Elfrid Payton, we would not be having this discussion because he wouldn't have made it out of the bubble. Like campaign came back and played very, very well in the bubble and secured a spot for the following season. Like he helped himself, got a second chance, but he helped himself. Aaron Holiday came here and has been relatively good the entire time he's been here. Elfrid, you cannot say that. So you can give him a second chance if you want, but they got to come through on that second chance. Elfrid Payton has not been as good as Aaron Holiday, so I don't really buy into that theory.
No, I agree with you. I'm not saying that Elfrid Payton's been better. I don't like the fact that Monty described him as he drives to the basket real well, he just can't make. That's how people describe my game, and I didn't make it to the NBA. I think I'm a little worried that that's the way he's describing Elfrid Payton.
Oh, my Corvette goes really fast. It has no brakes, but it goes really fast. Cool.
Yeah, that's tough.
As long as you're going up a hill, you'll be okay.
I am very interested to see how those backup point guard minutes shake out with campaign out tonight. I do think there's more relevance to this game than just that because I do think this is kind of the last good game they have this season. Sunday, I'd be shocked if they don't rest everybody and just play the third string, but this is kind of their last chance to play Suns basketball before the playoffs start.
I guess we'll find out here in just about 20 minutes or so what the game plan is. Or Gerald, keep an eye out. Are starting five out yet?
Starting five is out. I think it's the same. The Suns always do that video instead of the.
Duh. I don't know why I was thinking Chris Paul was out tonight. So we won't know until like halfway through the first quarter. So with Utah also comes conversation about Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell. I have a feeling this will never not be a thing. How do you guys feel about this debate between the two of them?
It should not be a thing this year. Utah is on the verge of implosion. They're talking about how Mitchell and Gobert don't like each other, that Mitchell won't pass the ball to Gobert, that this whole thing, that their coach may leave and go to LA. The whole thing is about to implode. That automatically ends the conversation to me when Devin Booker is going to be a top 4 MVP candidate. They went to the finals last year, and they're lined up to go again, where Utah was the 1 seed and crapped the bed. Like, this conversation should be dead now. Devin Booker is the better player and teammate than Donovan Mitchell.
Devin Booker has evolved. Donovan Mitchell has not. Donovan Mitchell is a very, very good offensive player, but he also shoots at, I think, damn near twice the rate that Devin Booker does. And Devin Booker's far more efficient. He's a much better team player. He's been improving in just about every aspect of his game. So where you could once make the argument that Spida was equally or better than Devin Booker, you can't make that argument anymore, because not only has Devin Booker evolved, but his teams have gotten better. And there is just no argument for it. Spida Mitchell he's a good stat stuffer. That's it.
Well, people argue the counting stats between these two guys, right? And you've got to take into account that Devin Booker has taken a step back in scoring on purpose, right? Like, that's what he did to facilitate the way this offense is playing. I think it should be over, but to Lindsey's point, I don't think it ever ends.
Well, and that's kind of funny that you bring that up, because his numbers have taken a little bit of a hit, but he's still averaging, I think, a career high or close to it in scoring, 26.7 points, which is ahead of Mitchell's 26 points per game. He's slightly behind in, I think, assists or rebounds, but he's ahead in the other category. And then he's way ahead in the most important category that people held against Devin Booker for so long, the win-loss column. He's also a much better defender than Donovan Mitchell is. There's a reason Donovan Mitchell's own center, a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, pointed to Devin Booker and said, you see Devin Booker chasing guys around all over the place, subtle shot at his own guy. Like, it's not close anymore to me. I think Donovan Mitchell is a great player, especially in the playoffs. He's a guy that can fill up the scoring column very quick. But like, Devin Booker's shooting a better percentage from the field, a better percentage from 3-point range. And those were all categories where Mitchell was supposed to be better. It's only one season, obviously, but I think that, like you guys said, one, his trajectory is going up, and the other one, his is going pretty much in just the same direction. Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing, too, it's like the X factor of it all, and you guys kind of touched on this, is being the better teammate, right? Like, Devin had some not so great players around him in the past. Not once did he ever come out and be like, this Joe Schmo over here is the reason why we're having struggles. He always put it all on him. He's never talked poorly about any teammate that he's ever had, at least publicly, which is still a thing. All that matters. Yeah, exactly. It's the only thing that matters. He's never come out and talked poorly about the organization, even though they did wrong by him.
Even though
never talked poorly about any of the coaches that he's had. Nobody. And if there is any beef behind the scenes, you don't know that because you don't see it on the court, because they figure out a way to work through it. And I think that's like the X factor here, because we all talk about how chemistry and cohesion and buying in to what your team is doing is really what sets you apart from a good team to a great team. So
I completely agree.
Donovan's teams haven't been able to get it done. He's had more up until the last 2 years than Devin Booker ever had, and they've had some great regular seasons, but they haven't gotten it done when it counts. Devin, his first opportunity, did. He's in line to do it again this year. It's no contest to me.
Right. The Suns' ceiling is still going up. The Jazz's, they've hit their head on that same ceiling multiple times, and that ceiling isn't even conference finals, let alone finals.
So do you think, I know I asked you this originally, but real talk, is it just the fans who are going to keep this going, or do you think it's members of the media that'll keep it going?
No, it's Utah fans for sure.
It's just the fans.
It's Utah fans love to compare Booker to Mitchell. They just.
Do anybody remember how did this become a thing in the first place? I don't recall.
Have you ever lived in Salt Lake City? You have nothing to do but start up dumb shit because there's nothing to do there.
You can ski.
Oh. So there was a Jazz writer who, I think it was after or during Summer League, Donovan Mitchell's first Summer League, he basically called his shot and said Donovan Mitchell is going to be better than Devin Booker or something along those lines. And it just blew up there. And then because Donovan Mitchell was so good his rookie season, and because the Jazz were so relevant his first couple of seasons, it kind of fueled Jazz fans to be like, no, he was right. Like, this is the thing. And that was still when the Suns were terrible or not good.
Which,
so
understandably at the
right.
time, you could see how you could make that argument for Spider.
Right.
I mean, he was having a lot of success.
It set a lot of people off because it was literally like after Summer League. Like he hadn't even played in the NBA yet. So people were like, what are you talking about? And it just kind of grew from there. And it's a Jazz writer that I actually respect and have come to respect over the years. But that was one hot take that really set people off. And I think ever since then, you know, at the start, it was Suns fans keeping that going when they were kind of looking up at the Jazz. And now that it's swapped, I think that has also swapped.
So it's just fan bases feuding back and forth for their guy.
I think so.
Which I can understand that.
Mhm.
If somebody was coming at Devin, like obviously, which is where it kind of started, there's a reason why the Suns fans have made that a thing now, and then vice versa. So I kind of get that.
I'd like each and every one of you to know that if CHGO or DNVR came after you, I'd have your back. So
I appreciate that.
Thanks,
you're
Espo.
welcome.
It'd be such an odd thing for them to do, but yes.
You never
Like,
know.
why did you guys?
We'll
come
see what
at them?
happens come playoff time.
Just wait till that Suns
We'll find
Nuggets.
out.
And of the only two people for them to come after are these two. Like, why? They're like the most
I
innocent
said
people
you
He
too.
said
in the
all
world.
of us. It was
I said all
all
of us.
encompassing.
And we
You're
knew
there
I was
too.
really talking about you, Saul.
But Espo like just looked at you two, and I was like, so I felt like
No, it was
okay,
all
that's so weird.
encompassing.
Why would they come at Lindsey and Gerald? Like they're like the nicest people. I don't get it. Well, sometimes.
Sometimes.
I would tell you what to tweet, but I wouldn't tweet it myself. Like always. And here, when somebody's mean on the internet, I'm always like, I should say this. And then I never say that.
Yeah. It's always in drafts.
It is. It's not even in dress because it's an accidental tweet then. But
Whoops.
it's not even
Oh,
written.
no.
It's just said all out.
If you only
Screenshots.
knew the real Lindsey.
No, it's not that far. All right, guys, let's talk a little postseason awards. Gerald Bourget tipped this conversation off because on Twitter today, he created a thread and said, I do not have an NBA awards ballot. Fingers crossed someday. We'll get you there, Gerald. But if I did, this is what it would look like. Now, we're not going to go through every single one of these, but the ones that have Suns within them. So the first one, MVP. So in Gerald's book, at number 1, Nikola Jokic. Number 2, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Number 3, Joel Embiid. 4, Devin Booker. 5, Luka Doncic. How do you guys feel? Do you agree, disagree?
How dare you, Gerald?
I knew
I
that was-
oppose anything that has Luka in it. So,
So who would you replace at 5?
No, nobody. I just leave it at 4. And then
There's no fifth.
I personally, I would. I know Giannis is Giannis. I do, and he's had an amazing season. But I just feel like between the two, Devin Booker has meant more to the Suns. And he should be rewarded for having the best overall record in not only franchise history, but in the league. And so I would probably move Giannis to 4 and put Devin Booker at 3 and move Joel Embiid up because I do feel like Joel Embiid, to me, Joel Embiid is number 1 instead of Nikola Jokic. I know Jokic is Jokic and he's doing things that have never been done before in this league. I get it. But Joel Embiid has been the one constant in Philly to keep them afloat, and he's been just out of this world as well. So,
and that's the thing that we should note about this MVP race is like a lot of people, the discourse has grown tiresome because it's always attacking one of those 3, like the Embiid, Jokic, Giannis trio that are kind of at the top for most people. It's always attacking one of their cases instead of just celebrating the fact that like all 3 of these guys, if any of these 3 guys won, I would not bat an eyelash because they've all had phenomenal seasons. And I know we want Booker to be a part of that conversation, but it feels like he's kind of only in that conversation here. Like on the outside.
if he finishes 4th in MVP voting,
that's a fantastic
that's a win.
year.
That's a win.
That's absolutely a win.
And in theory, should mean he makes the first team All-NBA as well, which I think is the big thing. You can interchange Jokic or Embiid. I'm not going to flip out either way because I think to your point, they both had amazing seasons. What Jokic has been able to do with the corpse of the Nuggets that he's dragged along with him has been impressive. And you know what? Embiid didn't have the easiest of seasons either. He had to deal with the Ben Simmons drama, and now he's got to deal with being James Harden.
James Harden wanted to drag him to the strip clubs is what he's got to deal with. Bro, I ain't about that life.
Does that make James Harden MVP then? Is that
No.
ASU, baby.
Yeah, that's where you got the habits from.
Stop it.
You and ASU, Gerald, fill
I
us
know,
in.
there was that passing bus that Saul just tossed me under.
Gerald's like, he ain't lying.
My girlfriend watching
He's
this,
like,
that's
"Hey,
not true.
I've
parents.
never.
Different worlds when you're a student athlete versus just a student. So
Yeah, yeah.
we probably wouldn't be able to
Just
know.
Yeah, they don't even let broke boys in the club like that.
That
All right.
journalism salary is
Yeah,
it
no,
gotten
that's
it now?
Next up, coach of the year. In the number 1 spot, we've got Monty Williams. In the number 2 spot, Taylor Jenkins. And in the number 3 spot, Ime Udoka.
There's a lot of people that are trying to clamor for Ty Lue as well for the Clippers.
Oh.
And I'm just not having it at all.
No.
Listen, they screwed money last year, and I know this is a single season award. I do, and and the Suns were a prohibitive favorite to be at least a top 3 team in the West. So you can see in terms of growth for an organization, they didn't really grow as much as maybe the Clippers did or whatever. But Monty Williams got screwed last year. He should not get screwed again this year because he has had such an impact on this team, this organization. He should get rewarded for it. And so to me, in this instance, yeah, it should be a 2-year award because he got screwed last year for a coach in the New York Knicks that did not deserve to win Coach of the Year over what Monty did. And he did it without Chris Paul at times this year, did it without Devin Booker at times this year. He did it with all these excuses about all these teams and how they lost star players and blah, blah, blah. The Suns have had the same kind of experience, and they still won. That's Coach of the Year material right there.
Look, Taylor Jenkins has an argument.
Yeah.
He took a team that wasn't expected to be in the upper echelon of the West and the NBA and put them in that conversation. Now, I know they're still 7.5 back of the Suns, but honestly, I wouldn't mind if you won it because that would piss off the Suns and keep that chip on their shoulder. But Monty does deserve it, really. I mean, you look at it and you can't argue. Like, I know, they were expected to win. They weren't expected to be 8 games better than the other teams. They weren't expected to set a franchise record. They were expected to be good. They're on the verge of being all-time great in some of the things that they've done. He deserves it for what he's been able to do in the locker room and on the court with this team.
Right. I want to point out about that because people talk about, the Suns were supposed to be good coming off a finals run. Then why were so many people picking the Lakers and the Warriors and the Jazz and all these other teams to finish ahead of them? Yep. You can't have it both ways where you expect the Suns to be 4th or 5th and take a step back, and then they take a leap forward and are ahead of everybody else despite all the injuries like you mentioned, Saul. Like, they've had so many guys out, and it's been here and there, and it makes it hard to develop that kind of rhythm, and it just hasn't mattered. They've had the best record and point differential by far since the bubble started. It was a crime that Tom Thibodeau won it last year, and not to say that should be a makeup call this time. He deserves it even without last year happening. Like, I think Taylor Jenkins has done a great job with the Grizzlies, the way they've been able to carry on with John Morant missing time, but they're still 8 games behind the Suns in the win column. Like, that matters.
Not only that, but hell, you made Monty wait another year. Why the fuck does Taylor Jenkins get the exception?
Right. If Monty wasn't good enough last year with exceeding expectations, then why would Taylor Jenkins be good enough this year by simply exceeding expectations?
Exactly.
If Monty loses this year, it legitimately is because there is this media bias to gravitate towards. Like, I think people take for granted how good the Suns team is because they went to the finals last year and they're just not enamored with this team for whatever, because Chris Paul's been around for a while, because people don't connect with Devin Booker for whatever reason. I don't know what it is, but if Monty doesn't win Coach of the Year, I really have a problem with that, because how do you ignore what this team has done the last 2 years? Only team, or the second team in NBA history to improve by 10 plus wins in 3 straight years. Third fastest turnaround in NBA history from league's worst to best. That doesn't happen without Monty and the culture and all of the incredible sets he's drawn up. I would have a real problem if he doesn't win this award.
It's not a sexy storyline. That's why.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. I just think that if it's all based on the Suns were expected to be good this year, then it needs to be how good were the Suns. We need to go back and pull receipts.
Not this good.
How many media members or national media members said the Suns will be somewhere, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Their over under was 51.5.
Yeah.
51.5. They won
then there you
51
go.
games last year. People thought they were going to take a step back.
Right.
Like with 10 extra games, they thought they were going to win the same number of games. That's
so then
insane.
your expectations for this team really weren't that high.
No.
No, but that's what they
Realistically.
hide behind.
Yeah.
It's a moving target. Just like with Devin, it is with this team.
Okay, 6th man of the year. This one has a Suns player on it. Tyler Hero 1, Kevin Love 2, Cam Johnson 3. You guys good with that?
I don't care about any of that. I want to get to first team All NBA.
Oh, here we go.
Fine. Please.
Look,
First team All NBA. Devin Booker, Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic. That is on Gerald's.
All right. Now I want to put a disclaimer with this because I know that your MVP candidate is missing from that group. My thing is they made them both forwards and centers so that you could vote for both of them on first team. And in a perfect world, it'd be positionless. You would just vote for the 5 best guys first team, the next 5 second team. But it does say in the guidelines that you are supposed to put players at the spot where they spend the most of their minutes. So they're giving you the freedom, but by these designations, you're supposed to do it where they play the most.
and Gerald refuses to break the rules.
I didn't want to, the reason I did, so I had one version where Joel Embiid was on first team in a forward spot, Nikola Jokic was center, and then Kat was your second team All-NBA center, and then Rudy Gobert was third team. But that left Pascal Siakam off of my third team ballot, and that seemed wrong. And honestly, I'm kind of low on the Jazz right now. I didn't want Rudy Gobert taking a spot that I didn't feel I wanted to create that for him. So I moved Joel to second team center, moved Kat to third team center, bumped Rudy Gobert off, put Pascal Siakam on, and that was kind of how I went about that business.
I appreciate that explanation.
So
I
had
totally
to
get
give
where
it, and
you're
I
going.
agonized over it
Yeah,
because
no.
Joel Embiid deserves first team All NBA.
For sure, yeah, but that was not my consternation.
Oh, what was your
Like,
consternation?
I hate Luka Doncic.
Oh, here we go.
I just absolutely hate Luka Doncic, and Ja Morant to me
Okay.
should be ahead of Luka Doncic because of what that team has done this season. Kind of counter to a point we were making about Taylor Jenkins. Like Ja Morant on the Grizz, and I know they've won without him. But so did the Suns without Chris Paul. That doesn't mean
Right.
Chris Paul is any less valuable to that team, right?
Right.
Or to our team. So I want to see good teams get rewarded for great play, and I think Ja Morant deserves to be ahead of Luka Doncic because Luka is a walking triple double. Basically, he's always going to be a statistically, impactful player. I don't think he should get rewarded because he puts up stats, but they don't win as much as the other teams in the league. Like,
I mean, they're a
that's just
50-win team. Like,
Huh?
they're fourth in the West. They're
cool,
a
but they're
50-win
not.
team.
They're not right there with the
They'd be
Memphis Grizzlies.
they'd be second in the East. Like, yeah, I get they're
They'd
not
be
with the
second in the
Memphis
East.
Grizzlies.
The worst team in the West would be like fourth in the East. Who cares?
No, that's not.
Look, I look.
Today is the day of drama and dramatics in this room.
I agree. I'd take Luka off. I'd put Ja there because if we're gonna talk about you need to reward winning like we were with Monty, I think you need to give Ja that nod. And then I'd put Embiid instead of Jokic for the same reason. Just that Embiid has kept the 76ers in the running for that top seed in the East. But I think there's a world where you can make the argument, and I think I probably would lean this way, that Jokic is the MVP, but he's the second team All-NBA center because of the way you define most valuable to his team. He's kept them alive, so he's more valuable than Embiid. But I think if you're putting together, players at their position, and I like what Embiid's been able to do to keep his team or put his team at the top of the league.
It's always been an interesting conversation. Most valuable versus best.
Yes.
And some people conflate the two. Like, and it's not like I think Joel Embiid is a better center than Nikola Jokic. I just do. But that doesn't mean Nikola Jokic isn't more valuable to his team than Joel Embiid.
Exactly.
So it's people, I think they're that's the hard part about MVP is you're like, well, what are we trying to decide? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the years Michael Jordan didn't win MVP, he was the best player in the league every
Right.
single year he was in the league, but that didn't mean he was the most valuable at that time with his teams. That's why Karl Malone or Charles Barkley would win it over them. It was also because of fatigue, let's be honest.
Voter fatigue's a real
yeah.
thing.
So, that's kind of the
No, that's
argument.
fair. And honestly, like if Ja Morant gets first team, I won't be upset about that either, because we're talking about a league that has more talent, more superstars than at any other time in NBA history, honestly. The reason I went with Luka over Ja was because Ja has only played 56 games this season and probably won't play before the end of the season. He's missed 26 games. That's significant. And Luka's 28, 9, and 9, and I feel like he has less help than what Ja does. So that was my reasoning
To
there.
be fair, I mean, Luka took off that many games because he was out of shape early on. He was playing.
Well, he's
but he
played
wasn't
7
quite
more
there.
games, though, and we'll probably finish with 8 or 9 more.
Real quick in the chat, Joel Ramirez wanted to say, Espo, Saul, Lindsey, and Berth. Great job.
Thanks, Joel.
Good
Joel.
work, Berth.
Good job, Berth.
Any final thoughts? Because the game's about to tip off.
Depoy is definitely McHale.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think we're all in
I had him
agreement on
1. I don't think he's going to win, but I had him 1, Marcus Smart 2,
You
and
think
Bam
Marcus Smart's
3.
going to win?
I think Marcus Smart is making a strong narrative push right now nationally, and that's
That's
unfortunate.
a fucking East Coast, man. This bullshit.
All right, let's get to our bets so we can get out of here.
that. All right, so what does Vegas think about tonight's game? Espo?
Oh, they actually think the Jazz are going to win. So by
Oh.
3. So
Okay.
They do
good
need
on
it
you,
more.
DraftKings. I don't agree with them tonight, though.
What bets are we making tonight, gentlemen?
I got the Jazz not scoring more than 27.5 in the first quarter.
I have the Suns money line at plus 130, which I think is the first time I've seen plus money on a Suns money line in a long time. So
I've got the Suns to score first at a plus 100. I feel like the bets, it's either first to score team or first bucket, which player will get that. I think they're really enjoyable for the start of the game. So I'm going with that tonight.
Gerald's pick's my favorite, though.
I think I had over, 1,000
Over
pro
1,000,
Spida
yeah.
tweets from Jazz fans.
Yep, at minus 10,000. So
Yeah.
you're not going to make much off of it. But
You're
I-
not,
but I
it's
will
a pretty
win, damn it.
solid bet. You're going to win, that's for sure. All right, thank you guys for tuning into the pregame show. We appreciate you as always. Be sure to tune back in right after the game wraps up. Same place right here. Until then, you can follow us on Twitter at PHNX_Suns, or if you are a GoPHNX.com member, you can come hang out with us in the Discord throughout the game. Bye.